Hey, what's going on, YouTube? It's Valsa. Hey, I just got back from my travels, and what's the very first thing that happens when I get back? I get rallied. Okay, now if you watched that rally, you might have wondered what was going on there. So we had some territory, we lost the territory, and I didn't teleport away. And my guess is they were just trying to scare me away, and whoever launched the rally forgot that they launched it or went AFK or something, because launching that rally against me was not a good idea. Here's the top line numbers. I had 17k dead versus 350,000 dead for them. Also 145,000 7 wounds for me versus 1.2 million from them. Here's the main fight here. They had a Magrat Fulgrim rally. Interesting. But look at the interesting thing about this rally was that Tohar's got some crazy AoE here. You see these other marches, they weren't even standing that close, and they're still taking 170,000 7 wounds, 180,000 7 wounds, from being like 3 city lengths away from me. I guess the good news for them is they took out the rule where if you're not fighting the city, you no longer take dead. So these are only 7 wounds for them, but they got kind of clapped, not even being that close to my city. Now the truth is, ever since I went to League of Order, I've got more magic units than anything else, and at that particular moment, I had a lot of, especially infantry in the hospital, and so I thought I would go with the magic garrison, but I didn't really think they were going to launch the rally against me, to be honest, and so I kind of blew it off, and I only threw in the garrison at the last moment. That's kind of why the video starts, just as the rally's walking towards me anyway. It did fine, obviously, but had I to do it differently, I would have changed some things out. So I think Tohar's, with his new AoE skill, he's actually pretty interesting as a city garrison captain. And then I had Magrat here because her main skill isn't contingent on either physical or magical damage. It helps everyone, and so I thought that'd be an interesting choice there. I think it did fine. I went with the Breath of the Forest for the artifact there. The reason you might choose this is it helps all your troop types. All your other artifacts will give you better bonuses, but they usually are specific to cav or infantry or whatever. Whereas the Breath of the Forest, helps everyone. And so for a city garrison only, the Breath of the Forest I think is still pretty good. I don't have the pet on now, but you saw in the pet in the video I was using a Sapphire Phaedrake. That was a mistake. I should have gone with a Shadow Phaedrake, which is a much better rally garrison pet if you're using mages. So my Sapphire is pretty good, but its AoE was just wasted there. But anyways, overall, I don't think it was a serious rally. I don't think they meant to do it, but I just had some fun. I was at Sequoia National Forest. It's in California, and Sequoia is known for having the biggest trees in the world. The redwoods are actually slightly taller, although sequoias can be over 200 feet themselves, but their volume makes them the biggest trees in the world. It was fun to see. We went on a lot of great fun hikes. The weather was perfect, awesome time. But I'm glad to be back, glad to be making videos, glad to be getting ready for the Dragon Zone. So with that in mind, I thought I'd give you a quick review of how the season's going. We're not quite in the Dragon Zone yet, but if we look at the Augur Zone here, we've got 2 days and then of course that 12 hours. And then past 5s will be open and we'll be in the Dragon Zone, so it should be a good fight there. The season's been going great so far. I've had a lot of fun. Our Zone 2 is still, contested. We're not really fighting that much in Zone 2 anymore, but you can see that each side's got one of the rocks, so it's a fairly good matchup. When I first previewed this season, I was worried that it might be a little imbalanced. It hasn't turned out that way at all. Excellent matchup. Good job by the devs. So I thought I'd go a quick overview of the season, what I think about it so far, just if you're going into the War of the Last Snows, what you can expect. And so let's start with the class system, because this is sort of the major feature here. I'm going Warlord here. This is my build, at least, until the end. Obviously, I'll switch to this extra dead troops revival at the very end here, but while the fighting's still going on, this is the build I like. The bottom here, Swift Retreat, is an interesting option. But I prefer the resource healing cost reduction, at least for now. Okay, so Warlord's awesome. I'm getting some amazing reports. I think everyone gets amazing reports when they're using Warlord. Basically what happens is, whenever you're in combat, as soon as you leave combat, you heal a portion of your troops up, and so you can stay out for a very long time. Warlord is awesome. I think it's the strongest one, and I recommend it for most strong accounts. The other classes here, we'll start with Druid. Druid's okay. This is basically the Exemplar buff. There's nothing wrong with this one. It's fine. I think this is best for sort of your mid-power accounts. So in my server, I have one of the stronger accounts, I wouldn't use this on my main. But if I have an alt or something, I can throw Druid on. It's not amazing, but it does the job well. The R2, of course, we got Herbalist. Herbalist is really for your farm accounts. You produce elixir for yourself. Hey, great, whatever. But then you can also give elixir to other people in your alliance. So every day I get a little extra elixir, something like 20 to 40,000. Sometimes I get a little potion there too. An account that fights should never be an herbalist, but it's good to have like 10 or 12 of these in your alliance to just produce some elixir boxes every day to give to, you're actually fighting accounts there. However, there is another option here, and that's the engineering class. When I first previewed this season, I thought engineering was worthless. I was too harsh on these things. Engineers can drop turrets anywhere. Now you have to have a march near where you're dropping a turret, but otherwise it can be in your territory, it can be in neutral territory, it can be in enemy territory. And these things, they actually do pretty good damage, and they instant attack any enemy that comes into range for them. The amazing things about turrets is it really solves the city hopping issue. Quick turrets, that's the answer. You drop a couple quick turrets in there, and if you control the field, anyone city hopping just gets devastated by these guys. So what we do is we basically have most of our farms, spec'd out as engineers, and most of the alliances, like our enemy does the same thing. And whenever we have, we're on the offensive, we're in the enemy territory, we control the field, and they start city hopping on us, we drop some quick turrets, and that basically solves the problem. So I love this from the devs, and if this goes away next season and there's not something else that stops the city hoppers, I'm going to be sad. Because these things, never put it on a main account, never even put on your alt account, but your farms, yeah, get a couple farms with these. They're great, they're very helpful. Okay, so let's talk about the map really quickly. So obviously we're not in Dragon Zone yet, so I'm not going to talk about that. You start out obviously in Zone 1, whatever, and then everyone has a Zone 2 in which your camp and an enemy camp, fight it out, right? So our camp, we're 17, we fought over this zone with 62 and 290. That's FA, FG, their alliance, plus KOD. And then our allies down here, they fought in this zone against the other enemy camp, right? I had a lot of fun in our zone 2. A lot of good fighting. No real complaints there. All right, let's talk about zone 3s. The zone 3 on this map is a bit of an L, right? So everyone moves into their own zone 3, and the zone 3s have 2 Hydras and a Necro Giant in it. Where's our Necro? There it is. All right, and you're basically in your zone 3s for about a week. At the end of that week, the level 4 passes open up, and they go into the other zone 3s, right? So this zone 3, our enemies are there, and then the other side's kind of the same thing. This level 4 pass opens up, and either we can invade our enemy's zone 3, or they can invade us. And same thing at the bottom of the map, right? So this is just a design flaw. The idea that you can invade another zone 3, okay, that's nice in principle, but there's not a ton of time between these gate 4 openings and the Dragon Zone, all right? So if you invade these other zone 3s, you got to be rolling the enemy to get anything out of it. In theory, you could lock them out. Let's say we came all the way down here and we could block their access to the gate 5 into the Dragon Zone. But we got to make a lot of ground up in a very short amount of time. Whereas, your own zone 3, you got a full week to fortify it. So you're in a great defensive position. The other thing about the zone 3s is let's take a look at the behemoth buffs here and see what they give, right? So here's the Necro Giants. They give Field Legion HP plus 25%. Oh, this seems new. What's that? Basically, they only apply in the current zone. All right, so 25% extra hit points. That's massive. And that means when we're defending in this zone, all of the, the people in the warband get a 25% hit point bonus, which makes the defender, not only do they have a week to fortify it, but they got massive buffs as well. All right, and if you look at the Hydras, they're kind of similar. Right, this Hydra gives Field Legion attack, right, same thing, it only applies in the current region. And then the other Hydra, it's basically the same thing, but defense, I think. And then if the enemy invades your zone, you have a massive advantage. All the while, the clock's ticking down to the gate 5s. And so if you're the invader, you can't risk heavy casualties invading someone else's zone, because if you do, you're going to be at a severe disadvantage when it comes to gate 5. Now, obviously, you could, push them all the way to the gate and lock them out of the Dragon Zone. That'd be great for you. But, if you're going to do that, it means you have a mismatch, an overmatch against them anyway. And the Dragon Zone probably wouldn't have been competitive. I think the Zone 3s are kind of an L by the dev. All right, and then finally, we have the Dragon Zone, obviously. Seems like it's going to be great. All the alliances are going to be going into the Dragon Zone. No one's getting locked out here. So I'm looking forward for a fun fight there, and I'll give a full review of that when it actually occurs. All right, and so that's the state of our KVK right now. Like I said, I'm back from my travels, and here's the good news. I guess depending on your point of view, I don't have any more major distractions anytime in the near future. So expect regular content from my channel in the weeks coming forward. Anyway, that's all I got for you, and until next time, you stay classy, Belra.